Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency, specializing in authors and musicians. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Call us today at 941-567-6193 for a free PR evaluation. Rebecca Pidgeon was born in Cambridge, Mass, and raised primarily in Edinburgh, Scotland, gravitating towards music as a child. Mom and Dad introduced her to the likes of James Taylor, while she eventually discovered both Kate Bush and the Sex Pistols on her own. She fronted the band Ruby Blue for 3 records before relocating to the US, where she launched her solo career. Fan favorite albums followed, including The Raven, The New York Girls Club, The Four Marys, Tough on Crime, and Behind the Velvet Curtain, 4 songs appearing in the critically acclaimed film Red Belt. The ensuing decade saw her release Slingshot, Blue Dress On, Bad Poetry, and Sudden Exposure to Light. Praising the latter, American songwriter affirmed, "She's the real deal," and I agree 100%. And Glide magazine also noted Pidgeon's prolific work as a songwriter and vocalist is akin to the self-immersion she undertakes for her mesmerizing performances on camera. In addition, she has captivated audiences on screen as a much sought-after film and television actress. Among dozens of credits, she has appeared in celebrated classics such as The Spanish Prisoner, State and Maine in Heist, opposite the likes of Gene Hatchman, William H. Macy, Sarah Jessica Parker, and of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Additionally, she has appeared in blockbusters A La Red and Netflix Bird Box, to name just a few. Please welcome singer, storyteller, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, actress, Rebecca Pidgeon to Interviewing the Legends. Man, you do a lot.
Golly jeepers, I'm exhausted
So am I.
after hearing all of that. I think I should take a nap.
You should take a nap. You're very talented, by the way. Very, very talented. I've had Fernando Perdomo on the show a couple of times, and we've worked together promoting stuff. And I congratulate him on the album because I love the album. And he says you are a gem. That was his words to me.
Well, he's a gem too. We had a great time working on this record. Yeah.
The record's incredible. Let's talk about the album. It's called Parts of Speech, Pieces of Sound.
Yeah.
I said it was a hypnotic, atmospheric, mesmerizing, rejuvenating dreamscape journey into body, mind, soul, and spirit.
Wow.
How's
Thank
that?
you.
And I gave it 5 stars.
Fantastic. You did.
I did.
I'm very happy that you liked it. That you really liked it.
It's a great album. It really is. You did
I just
some,
have to say to people, it's not out yet. It's coming out hopefully September 24th.
right.
Yeah.
And it'll be available, I guess, on all avenues. They can go to your
Yes,
website, Amazon, I'm sure.
yeah. I'd also like to say up front that I'm doing a couple of record release shows, one in New York at
Right.
Joe's Pub on September 19th, where I'll be playing some of the record, and McCabe's in Los Angeles on September 24th, where I'll be playing the record in its entirety.
Fantastic.
Some of the musicians who appeared on the record, yeah.
Do you think you'll be doing an extensive tour for the album, or what do you think? I know you're busy.
I would like to take it out on the road. I don't have any plans at the moment, but I certainly would love to do it in whatever configuration. You know, I'm working on 3 different iterations of performing it at the moment. One in a very sort of stripped down way with just me and one other musician, and then the full band in Los Angeles, and then a smaller band, but equally terrific in New York.
You kind of started this process, I guess, during the pandemic, and you did some remote classes from Mumbai. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
What was that like?
Well, Yeah, I mean, like all of us, we were in this lockdown, and I was just sort of sitting around and on YouTube listening to various lectures, I suppose. And I noticed that Sri Prashant Iyengar was offering teachings on YouTube. So I started to listen to those. And then I joined a class that he and his nephew Srinit were teaching on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which I'm still taking. I mean, it's fairly in depth, and I really got absolutely fascinated by that. And I was lucky enough to, yoga teachers from all over the world started to teach on Zoom. And one of the teachers I worked with from Mumbai, Firuza Ali Razvi, was offering teachings. So I joined her class. It was mainly people who were based in Mumbai, but she had some international students as well, signing on. And so, and I've been doing that. And I've been very lucky to be able to have that exposure, as we all have. I mean, I think all of the Iyengar student community has been very enriched by the teachings of Prashant Iyengar and Abhijata Iyengar, which they've been doing online. It's been just incredibly wonderful. So yeah, and so then I was doing this studying, and then I started writing. I had sounds kooky, but I had a dream about this, which eventually became inventing a melody over the top of it, and then wrote it down the next morning, and then put basically the words of the first 3 sutras of Patanjali into the song, and that's basically the song. I added a tiny bit of a concept of my own, which I don't think is out of keeping with the philosophy of yoga, which is that the idea of self, the divinity is waiting for you to discover it. And that kind of launched me on a series of writing. And these songs it's basically a journey through the chakras, which are esoteric energy, sort of subtle energy centers in the body. And Prashant Iyengar was teaching, and also Firuza was teaching about these esoteric centers, and how they have deities attached to them, and they are associated with the elements, different elements, and they're associated with different sort of differing qualities. Like, for example, one of them, Svadhisthana, is associated with self-study, right? And so I was feeling I just felt very, very inspired by that, and it kicked off this series of writing.
Yeah, these songs, it reminds me of like New Age, a little bit of ambient type of music in there. You can even go as far as progressive, music. And I mean, if you meditate, these songs are great. They're wonderful for that, but they're incredible. I mean, if you're in the car and you just want to relax during your day, they're incredible. You really get centered into your mind and yourself. I love it. I've always loved this kind of music.
Right.
I really have. And I've got a friend, Janet Robbins. She's the daughter of Marty Robbins. And I'm gonna, after this, near the end of this interview, I'm gonna give you a link. Her music's a lot like yours.
Ah, great.
She thinks just like you. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I really want to check her out.
She's great. I mean, you guys are like almost like twins when it comes to the musical styles and everything. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go down each of the tracks of your new album and talk about them. The first one is Now Begins. very powerful. It's got a great beat and rhythm to it as well, and beautiful lyrics. I know we're talking about the Indian culture and Hindu and everything, but to me, it sounds a little bit Native American as well. I could hear a little bit about that.
Yes, I think you're right.
Right?
I think you're right. Yeah. The tanpura,
Mm-hmm.
the machinery of our own body, right? Our body makes sound.
Right.
So I discovered it, and I thought, wow, this reminds me of the bagpipes, because I grew up in Scotland.
Sure.
I feel Scottish, and I'm very influenced by Scottish folk music.
Mm-hmm.
And so it felt like a sort of little piece of instrument does carry cross cultures. He mentioned the didgeridoo, in Australia, and
Yep.
So anyway, the bagpipes. And so this song started with this drum beat, and that was what I dreamt of. And then the person who was playing this drum beat said to me in my dream, we were a bunch of students sitting in a lecture hall, and he was demonstrating this drum beat and said, "Oh, there's somebody here who can sing this." And I thought, oh my God, he can't be talking about me. And he said, don't be afraid, sing this, just sing it, don't be afraid. And so I thought, well, I've been instructed not to be afraid and to sing it, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be afraid, I'm going to sing it. And so I did, and then woke up, and I felt, oh wow, this actually is something that has worth, and I'll pursue it. And that became the first song.
Amazing. You got a beautiful voice, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know you're acting, you're great in acting, but you're equally as well in music. And I'm surprised you're not bigger than what you are in the music industry, because you're excellent.
That's very kind.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I've interviewed a lot of people, and I've been in music for a long time, so I know.
Right.
How do you pronounce the second track? Is it Swayambu or what? How do you pronounce that?
Almost, yeah, very good. Swayambu.
Swayambu.
It's another, which means self-created.
Self-manifested. It's a Sanskrit word, right? Sanskrit? Yeah.
Yes. And so this was based on the root chakra, which is called Muladhara chakra, and Mula meaning root. And associated with that chakra is Brahma, the creator. And it's also associated with the earth element. And anyway, so Swayambu is another name for Brahma.
Okay.
You'll find that these deities have many, many, many different names and different avatars. And Prashant Iyengar was saying the other day, it's not a pantheistic religion. There's only one God. In what his term is Sanatana Dharma. But there's different aspects, right, to the divine. And so this is basically it's a narrative about the qualities of Brahma. I'm of course anthropomorphizing this, and it's kind of a pop song, really.
Yeah. It could be a hit.
I've just made a video for it. It's going to come out as a single at the end of August. Yeah. Awesome.
The only thing I could say about this track, that I wanted more verses of the song.
Right.
Because it leaves you wanting, several more verses,
Right.
Yeah. But that was clever, because all your songs are, they're short and sweet, and wanting more for each song, That's the way I like it anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. The songs are actually shorter than I noticed that when I was writing, that they're quite succinct in a way.
That's the way it should be, Like the Beatles, their songs were short.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. That's the appeal.
By the
Blue
way,
Lagoon.
the main thing, the main music that my parents introduced me to was the Beatles.
Yeah.
It was just, that was my father had the entire collection as they came out. You know, I was born in '65, and my mother says the first time I put on a record, it was a Beatles track that she'd suffered morning sickness throughout, and must have heard it in utero and just went immediately for it. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
the Blue Lagoon is based around the chakra, which is the Svadhisthana chakra, which is the water element is associated with that, and the deity is Vishnu, and that's actually based on another dream I had as a child. I had this dream. I think I must have had it before I was 5, because
Wow.
we lived in the States. My father he got his doctorate at MIT, and he worked at they then had a magnet lab there.
Oh, cool.
And that's where he worked. He's a physicist.
Wow.
And and I remember having this dream as a child, and I'm walking through a forest. I get to a glade. That glade has a magical pool in the middle of it. It's a deep, deep, deep blue, and it's bottomless, and it's surrounded by dark trees. And and also the pool has this. It has like a pirate ship, like think of a Peter Pan pirate ship, right?
Right.
Sort of half sunk in the middle of it. I lie down on the grass and I'm suffused with joy and bliss. And then I remember trying to get back to this place in my dreams. At first, I think I thought it was a real place, because you know, when you're a child, you confuse dreams with reality.
Right.
And I would, in dreams, try to get back there and never be able to find it again. I'd find a path and think, oh my God, maybe this is leading me to that place, but it wouldn't. Anyway, so I've always remembered that dream and feel that it's a kind of, it has a meaning, the dream. And in this song, I've got 2 voices in the song. One song is me saying, I'm lost, I'm wandering around, I don't know my way. And the other voice is the deity, Vishnu, saying, I'll show you who you are. Right. Just lie down. And so that's that song.
You know, most people can't remember their dreams, so it is.
I know.
Pretty
I mean,
amazing.
they dissolve, and there's all sorts of different kinds of dreams, apparently, with different meanings. I mean, according to Jung and everything, but also according to Vedic scriptures, and they have a different take on it. But they consider some dreams to be prophetic, or some dreams to be, I suppose, little gifts of a sort of higher awareness. But they say that those dreams don't come unless they come to very qualified yogis, you know, very saintly people.
Right. You know, I look up my dreams too and find out the meanings. I dream about animals a lot, but I dream about wild animals that are loose, you know?
Yeah.
And it's all the time. I'm always, you know, lions and tigers and
is it like an element of fear there?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want them to come bite me.
Yeah.
But in the same token, they're allowed to run free, and I'm allowed to walk around with them, you know, that kind of thing. They're not in cages, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a bit like life.
Yeah.
You know, we're wandering around with all these dangerous influences.
That's true.
That are in our own minds, you know?
Right. Well, the next one, okay, Rudradeva. Is it Rudradeva? Okay.
Rudradeva.
Rudradeva
He's an avatar of Shiva. It's the destructive.
Ancient India. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the destructive aspect of Shiva, the one who destroys all the or the shadrapus, they're called, the negative aspects of our consciousness. And so this one took me a while to get the vocal on it. I had a sort of tune, and it was too tame and it was too simple. And so eventually I was persuaded by a very good friend to try it again and just be insane on the vocal, just like I was a banshee.
Right.
And so I did that, and that released the song for me. And yeah, so I stepped into a kind of character there, and that's that's got everything but the kitchen sink in it. That song,
it's a great song.
very
I
rhythmic.
love it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine meditating to that one.
Yeah.
I think that would be a very peaceful meditation.
Yeah, a little distraction there. Tiny room. I heard elements of African, Indian, and Arabic.
Yes, yeah.
A little bit. My family, my background, my dad was from Syria, so I grew up with Syrian music in my household, and my mom was Cuban.
Wow.
So I had both elements there of, Cuban and Arabic kind of influences. So I can hear those little things,
Yeah.
I love world music.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
So that's based around the heart center chakra, which is called anahat, and the element associated with that is the element of air. Rudradeva is associated with fire, of course, like lightning and thunder and so forth. And the bija mantra for the anahat chakra is yum. I haven't spoken about bija mantras, but it's basically like a seed. A bija means seed, and a mantra everybody knows is Om.
Right.
Om is a bija mantra. Basically, the mantras that are one syllable that end in an sound are called seed mantras. And so I with this one, first of all, I came up with the violin line, the violin tune, and that was oddly enough inspired. It wasn't really inspired, but I had in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something orchestral. Particularly, I was inspired by the soundtrack for a movie called Ossessione by Visconti. It's one of my favorite movies. Wonderful soundtrack. And so I'm just trying to think what order I put that together in. It's like I put that together like as a kind of jigsaw puzzle, with the mantra going on in the background like a drone.
Right.
And then this violin part. And then I kind of wrote it as a kind of stream of thought. So it doesn't really have it has this very odd time signature where it's 4/4, but I'm doing the song in 3/4 over the top of 4/4, and it gets all quite muddled, but that's going to be an interesting one to perform. I'm really looking forward to performing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You play several instruments, right? What do you play?
No, I'm not a multi-instrumentalist. I play the guitar. I took piano lessons as a kid, and with this record, I used a lot of different sampled sounds on a keyboard. But,
are you writing through the keyboard with the keyboard?
Yes. Yeah. But I play because I play the guitar, I play the bass. I mean, that's just a sort of natural segue. And I play the not the harpsichord, the auto harp on this record.
Well, you are a multi-instrumentalist.
And the bass. Well, no, I mean, it's stringed instruments. I used to play the violin as a kid.
Okay.
So, yeah, I play a few instruments not well. I'm not a virtuoso musician at all. Yeah. Now, but I accompany myself. So that's how yeah.
Well, all you really need is a keyboard. And like you said, the guitar.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
A silent sound, that's got kind of a story to it, doesn't it?
Yes. So this song is uh, inspired by a story that my yoga teacher told. She was teaching about something called prana kriyas, which are sound forms that you use
Hmm.
in a yoga practice, in practice of pranayama
Right.
and in asana. And it's these sound forms are connected to the different chakras in the body.
Hmm.
And the story she told as an analogy was there's a girl who goes to the temple every morning to pray, but she's, instead of praying traditional prayers, she's saying the letters of the alphabet. And
Right.
it's the Sanskrit alphabet, but in my video, have it as the English alphabet. And she's overheard by a priest who says to her, little girl, why are you reciting the letters of the alphabet every morning in the
Hmm.
temple? And she says, well, I'm praying, but I don't know any prayers, so I'm saying the letters, and I know that God will, to offer them to God, and I know that God will put them in the right order for me to
Right.
make the correct meaning. And so she's saying that the prana kriyas are, it's like a kind of dismantling of language into just sound, and the sound therefore is not connected to any emotion or meaning.
Hmm.
It's pure sound, and you can use that as an offering, a simple kind of offering, and it's a technique and to quiet the recalcitrant part of the mind, and to connect to the
Sure.
higher intelligent part of the mind. Yeah.
That's a cool story. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now on the ladder, is it my imagination? Do I hear Neil Armstrong in the background?
You do, yes, you do.
That is so cool. I mean, with everything going on with the new telescope and everything, I mean, this song should
Yeah.
be up there, you know?
Yeah.
That's a
Okay, so
NASA
this
song.
song, it is.
Yeah.
This song is centered around the Vishuddhi chakra, which is located in the throat, and
Uh-huh.
it's the element is space. So I I'd just seen the Apollo 11 documentary, which I was
Right.
so blown away by, just blown away. And I saw this press conference, and these with the astronauts, right? And these astronauts are so very dry and so very technical, and
Hmm.
about their adventure into space, into the unknown. And it's really a lot about the mechanics of the machine, and they're scientists, you know, they're astronauts, and they're engineers. And but at one point, Neil Armstrong says, I can't remember the name of the ship. Is it the Saturn that they were in? But he said, anyway, the name of the ship.
Hmm.
It gave us one magnificent ride, and he looked almost emotional when he said that, and I just thought, God, that's such a great analogy for life. It's such a magnificent ride. I mean, it's all sorts of things. It's pain, it's pleasure, it's joy and sorrow. And we all have that. And we all have incredible scary times and incredible joyful times, and whatever it is, it's certainly a magnificent ride. And so I wanted to put that in the song, and I noticed that it was in the public domain, so I
Hmm.
did. And I've put different radio calls between Houston and Apollo in the song as well as backing to it, because
That's very cool.
I find it so you know, my scientist dad would say it's not
Right.
mystical, Rebecca, but I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
it is, Dad. um,
Is your dad still around?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And my mom, yeah.
Oh, neat. Wow.
My mother is a yoga teacher. She
Uh-huh.
studied with BKS Iyengar for many years. She used to travel to Pune. She started in 1980. So she was my first introduction to, she was my first teacher
Right.
in the Iyengar yoga system.
God, I'd love to talk to your dad. Man, that'd be so cool. Be
He's
blown away talking
amazing.
to your
He's
dad.
amazing.
Wow.
He was just telling me the story the other day about teaching his students
Mm-hmm.
Einstein's theory of relativity,
Yeah.
and he was talking about the brilliance of these rolling blackboards he had, which had
Mm-hmm.
like a roller, so he could put the whole thing on these rolling blackboards. And he said he got through the whole thing, and he said to his students, "Now, is there anybody here, raise your hands, who didn't understand what I've just been talking about for the last 3 hours?" So they all put their hands up, and he says, "Great, okay, we're just gonna do it again." And he brought the rolling blackboards,
That's
you
great.
know, and went through the whole thing again. And he
Yeah.
knew the second time around that not so many perhaps would put their hands up, but he said, "We're gonna get this
Yeah.
until you guys understand it. And I've got these rolling blackboards here, which I love."
Does he
It's
still
all there.
teach?
Well, no, he's retired now,
Yeah.
but he's still fairly active in research
Mm-hmm.
and publishing articles and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could use them in NASA with, you know, we're going to Mars.
Well, that's not his branch of expertise, but he's in semiconductors, in laser
Oh, okay.
physics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like the
I don't
ladder.
understand a bloody word he says, but he's always trying to explain things to me, and I'm always trying to understand, because I do find it utterly fascinating, even
Sure.
though I don't understand what he's talking about.
He didn't explain string theory to you or black holes?
Oh, he's tried.
Have you? The ladder was a very clever title. I mean, you could have said anything about parts of the rocket, you know, space in general, the moon, but the ladder was neat. You know, that was very, very,
Well,
very
yes, I
clever.
mean, they go down on this little rickety, silly
Yeah.
little ladder onto the surface of the moon,
Right.
but also, you know, it's used as a term to describe the journey through levels of learning in spirituality, you know, and it's a common expression. Just put your foot on the first rung of the ladder,
Exactly.
you know, of whatever endeavor it is.
Yep.
Don't worry about being an ignoramus.
Right.
Just put your foot, just make the first step.
Take the first step. Exactly.
Of course you're going to be an ignoramus. Of course you're going to be wrong.
Just make the first step.
Yeah.
Go for
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
it. And of course, a very clever track is the next one. Let me see if I can pronounce this. Is it Savasana?
Shavasana. Yeah.
Shavasana. Almost sounds
Shavasana.
Hebrew, doesn't it?
It
Shavasana.
does. It does.
Yeah.
Actually.
Which is, and then you come out and talk about about the final resting pose at the end of almost every yoga practice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is wonderful because this is a poem by my mother that she'd written
Really?
several years ago. Yeah. She wrote it for a friend, a fellow yoga teacher of hers, a very beloved friend of hers died. And she wrote this poem for this friend, dear friend, Janet, and posted, and my mother ran for many years, owned and ran the Edinburgh Iyengar Yoga Center, which is the Iyengar Yoga Studio in Edinburgh. And she still teaches there. And she put this poem up on the wall. She as a remembrance of this friend. And I remember seeing the poem as quite a, you know, many years ago. I must have been maybe a young woman anyway, and just being very moved by it. And then I thought, during the writing of this song, I need to have a little interlude, I need to have something about Shavasana, because Shavasana is a pose that is a resting pose that we do at the end of class, but also it's used, and this is one of the innovations that BKS Iyengar brought in. It's also used as a gateway, a doorway into the more esoteric practices of yoga and a more meditative, that whole long journey. So I wanted to, and I remembered my mother's poem, and so I set it to music, and I recite the poem, and then I do a little sort of skit singing in the background. So I think, well, that's my mum and that's me. I'm, skipping around with my voice, going do 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 do, and she's bringing this wisdom to me, into the world. She's a wonderful yoga teacher, and she has many students who are devoted to her. And she's wise. She's a wise person. She wouldn't say that she was wise at all. She'd say that she's a student too. So that was great. So my mom and I are co-writers on one of my records.
Very clever song.
It's got a sister song, which is called "I Say Your Name," and that is also a co-write. That is Andy Studer, this very talented violin player who's playing on the record. He also plays viola, and he was playing the arrangements that I'd made on this record. And then I sent him this song, Savasana, and he sent me back this string arrangement that he'd made for it. And I said to him, you know what, I don't think that's right for Savasana. I think it's its own separate song. Let's make it a separate song.
Right.
That will be a sister song. So then I wrote the song, the lyrics and the tune to go with it. And so that became, its own song.
Your voice, I call it angelic. On "I Say Your Name," I mean, you really shine on that track. And also "Clouds Are Clearing," two of my favorite songs.
Oh, thanks.
I love them both. Yeah.
"Clouds Are Clearing" comes at the end of the. Do you want to talk about "Clouds Are Clearing"? Yep. So that comes at the end of the. That's the last track.
That's the last track. Is there a sitar in that song?
Yes.
Sounds like a sitar.
Yes, I use a sampled sound of a sitar on there, but also I believe Fernando plays a bit of a sitar on it. Neither of us are sitar players, and we didn't have the resources to get an actual person to play the sitar for us. But yes, there are echoes of a sitar in there. That's based around the Sahasrara chakra, which is the crown of the head. These higher chakras, I have no experience of them. No kind of lay person really does. They are the domain of yogis of a high order, right?
Right.
But one can imagine. One still has one's imagination. So I thought, how am I going to write about the Sahasrara chakra? So I used the weather as an analogy to, because that's something that's often used. The sun is there all the time, but sometimes it seems just like it's not, right? But that's just clouds in the way. And so that's an analogy for our own, messed up stuff, our own spiritual ignorance that we're mired in, according to Patanjali yoga. And when that is cleared, then you can see the sun in the song, or the self with a capital S, And then I ended it with the words from what's called the Guru Vandana, which is a little prayer that's said in thanks to the gurus, our own guru. The gurus was grateful. I mean, the whole record to me feels just like a gift to me, that it just came to me. It wasn't. I didn't cook it up or think of it or plan it or anything like that.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I love it, man. I think it's incredible. I really like it a lot.
That's very
It's
kind.
it's an album I can listen to over and over and over again. Never get tired of it. You know?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well,
The
I hope that people, I hope,
mhm.
you know, it's not a, I'm not trying to be, it's not really yoga music. It's not really
Right.
meditation music.
Exactly.
It's modern contemporary music that
Yes.
I hope people will just enjoy. You don't have
Sure.
to, and there's no, uh, I mean, I suppose there's meaning behind it. There is meaning behind it, but it's also not, it's supposed to be joyful, you know, it's
Hmm.
um, not a teaching or anything like
Right.
that. Because I'm a learner. It's just
Hmm.
about my experiences, basically.
Well, to me, that you can enjoy the music kind of like you like progressive rock. I love progressive rock, the Pink
Yeah.
Floyds, the
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
that
yes,
kind of
yes, yes,
Genesis, and it's the same
yes,
type of,
yeah,
feeling. You know,
yes.
you think
And I
about
hope it,
life. You know,
right, exactly. I love it.
I
Yeah.
love it. We need more of this kind of music. The more where you get in touch with your soul, your inner body, life. Instead of baby, baby, I love you, baby, baby. That kind of thing.
Right, right.
I get so tired of that stuff. Yeah. Who produced this album and who engineered it? Who helped you with that?
Well, I produced it with Fernando
Okay.
Perdomo.
Great job.
He engineered it.
Okay.
Um,
He gets
he
around.
he is a multi-instrumentalist, by the way.
Yeah.
He is a great he's a great musician. And it's always such a pleasure to work with him. Um, so yeah, he's uh, so we basically we co-produced it. I'd
Hmm.
made a lot of demos over the I suppose it was last summer, and then we recorded it. God, my mind is mush about dates. I can't remember, but
Hmm.
anyway, I sent all these demos to him, and we used some of that material in the actual final recordings,
Right.
um, and then we brought in Matt Teku,
Hmm.
who's my drummer in my band here in Los Angeles, who's brilliant, and he just added such a lot to it. We also brought in Satnam Ramgotra, who's a brilliant tabla player. He plays tabla on the record, and Andy Studer, who I think his musicality is it just moves me so much. He's a wonderful musician, a violinist. So the five of us basically made the record.
I love it. I want to mention some of your other music in the
Yeah.
past real quick. Grandmother,
Mm.
people can go on YouTube to see that. You have an official audio on that kind of jazzy song. The Raven,
It wasn't made by me, by the way, the official video. I don't know
really?
who
Somebody
made it.
must have been a fan or somebody like that.
Yeah,
They do that.
yeah.
The Raven, another beautiful song.
Mm.
Spanish Harlem. I saw the Spanish Harlem live in New York video. Yeah, When You Were Mine was a beautiful song.
Thanks.
You've got a lot of music out there.
Yes, I seem to have accumulated a large back catalogue
Yeah,
for somebody who's still remains largely unknown in the music sphere.
I don't get it. I really don't. I'm going to promote the hell out of your album. I hope you
Thank
know.
you. Thanks. I just want people to come to these gigs
Yep.
um, because I'm excited about them.
Yeah. I'll
I
be
think they
interested
should be great.
to see how you play. Are you going to play the whole album, you think? Or
I'm going to play the whole album in Los Angeles
wow.
at McCabe's,
Yeah.
and I'll play some of the album at Joe's Pub.
I wish you were over here in Florida.
Well, one of these days, I really hope that I can bring it on.
Searching for a Heart. That
Yeah,
was a
Warren
Warren
Zevon.
Warren Zevon tune. Yeah.
Mm.
Love is Cocaine. Where did that one come from?
That's a co-write with David Batteau, and
Okay.
I really love that song. It
Yeah.
was inspired by the film by Fritz Lang called Dr. Mabuse,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about this evil genius who hypnotizes people. He's a gambler, and he hypnotizes people, and yeah, it's particularly young women, and
Huh.
and they become his slaves.
Oh
And
boy.
it's a very dark but deeply wonderful film.
I like dark.
It's about addiction as well, and not just substance abuse, but
Yeah, that could be a hit.
yeah.
That's a great song.
Thank you.
And you were actually nominated for a Grammy Award on Slingshot. Is that right?
Yes, actually, the album was nominated for a slingshot for a
Right.
Grammy
Mm-hmm.
for the engineering of it, which was done by Helik Hadar. This was produced by Larry Klein, and also we co-wrote it, and along with David Beto, and brilliantly engineered by Helik Hadar. That's a really polished and really good record. I'm proud of it.
I just want to touch very quickly on the film side of you. One of my favorite movies is Red, and Red 2.
Great.
And I know you're such a great actress because you're nothing like your character.
No, I'm quite a peaceful person, really.
Oh my God.
It
I
was so
hated
funny,
you in that movie.
I know, I did too. I was so nasty.
You
God,
were.
What was wrong with me?
What
I needed
happened
to,
there?
Like, to just chill.
But you got killed at
relax.
the end.
I got killed, so I got my comeuppance.
Exactly.
But it's so funny because Robert Schwentke, the director, I met him and we had coffee, and then he said, "Oh, will you come and do it?" And then when I got on the set, he said he wouldn't let me and my co-actor, my co-star, a very talented young actor, blanking on his name. He wouldn't let us have convivial conversation with each other. We had he had a sort of method approach.
Right.
So we had to sort of do improv with each other, where I was like a mean bitch, and he was like really. I just thought, oh God, this is not. I went to RADA in London. I trained to be a theatre actress, and I did not train in the method school at all. And I trained basically in the just stick on a funny nose, for Christ's sake, and go, say your lines. School of acting. So, so yeah, it was tough stuff.
What was it like to get shot? I mean, did you feel anything, or how did that work? Did they actually shoot you with something, like a blank, or?
No, they were great on the set. The stunt guys were terrific. They come and they show you in this case, it was not even a gun; it was a rubber thing that was being used by Bruce Willis. And then they sort of mark you up, and they put the sort of jacket on you underneath your clothes, and something explodes in the jacket, and you just die.
Did you feel it?
It's weird. And I think there was a mattress behind me. I think I had to fling myself back on a mattress, and
very convincing. Richard Dreyfuss, of course, got shot.
Everybody says to me that they like that movie. I guess
it was a great movie.
It was a really camp and fun movie, and it had a great cast.
Yeah. Did you especially camaraderie with any of the actors in the movie? Anybody?
Well, the person who I met up with, who I really love, is John Malkovich.
Yeah. He's a character.
He's become a friend of ours, and has since worked with Dave on a couple of things, and we just love him. In fact, I think I met him again on Bird Box, and that's when I said, "John, why don't you and your wife come over for dinner? We'd love to." So they came over for dinner, and that's when Dave and John hatched the idea of doing Dave's play Bitter Wheat in London, which they then did.
It's a shame they killed you. You could have been in Red too.
I know. I thought maybe I could have been resurrected as a kind of ghostly presence.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of mean ghostly presence.
You could have acted with Anthony Hopkins. That would have been cool. And
was Anthony in it? I did my first film ever with Anthony Hopkins called The Dawning.
I love him. He's cool. He's very cool.
Great.
Yeah.
A great actor. One of our
very
great
good
actors.
I was fortunate enough. I had a business in DC near the White House, and a lot of celebrities used to walk in, and we became friends with, remember James Mason, the movie
Oh,
star?
yes.
Him and his
Loved
wife
him.
Clarissa. They're very nice people. He lives in Switzerland.
I love Eddie when Eddie Izzard goes into like a complete James Mason version of his show.
Yeah, yeah.
James Mason's fantastic.
He was good. Yeah,
yeah,
one of the greats.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, what's next? What do you got? What are your plans? What do you have next in the movie scenes? Are you we're gonna be seeing you in the movie soon or again or?
Well, I don't know. There is a movie that we're working on at the moment.
Okay.
But I can't really talk about it at the moment.
Right.
The next thing that I definitely know about is a play. Actually, I'm going to be acting
good.
in New York in the theater
Excellent.
in New York next year.
On Broadway?
At the Atlantic Theater Company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you say the
Which
name
is
of the play or?
a great theater company in New York, to which I belong. I'm a member of the Atlantic Theater Company and have been for a while. It's called the Christopher Boys Communion.
Okay.
But I think it might appear under the title of Two Wicked Plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, sometime in your career, you got to, be a stage actress too.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've done everything else. What's next? It's amazing. Here's here's a musical question.
Sure.
I ask everybody that I interview this one question. I get some very interesting answers. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be? Now, in your case, I want to hear musically and on screen as well.
To collaborate with, well, I would love to collaborate with Paul Thomas Anderson. I think he's a brilliant filmmaker. In fact, he did offer me a small part in his film Magnolia, which I couldn't do because I just had my son.
Right.
He was just a tiny baby. But in the past, I don't know. I mean, I'm a great fan of Michael Powell. If I'd lived back then, I would have loved to have worked with him. Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, who made films like The Red Shoes, Black Narcissus, Matter of Life and Death, I Know Where I'm Going, those old films. Musically, my favorite songwriter of all time, of course, was John Lennon. But I can't imagine collaborating with John Lennon. I think
Julian.
Yes, Julian. I mean, Kate Bush is one of my favorite artists. But I wouldn't see, these people to me are heroes and legends, and I wouldn't want to collaborate with them. I would just want to sit and learn.
You guys are so funny. I hear that all the time.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah. I interview a lot of famous musicians, and they say, "Oh, I can't work with him. I'd be too nervous. I'd be too scared."
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, I think that one of our current great artists is PJ Harvey.
Yeah.
I love her work.
Yeah.
Tremendously. I'm a huge admirer of hers. God, there's so many people who are so great.
It's funny. You and George Harrison would mesh well together, right? Because of the Indian culture and
yes.
You guys are very similar.
I was, by the way, inspired a lot by him on this record, by his work with the Beatles.
Yeah. The quiet Beatle.
The quiet Beatle, but no less powerful.
Yeah.
And also the whole lot of them. Ringo was absolutely brilliant, and Paul McCartney,
great drummer.
Oh my God, I was just listening to Rubber Soul over and over and over again because I just got a record player, and listening to Paul McCartney's bass playing on that's just absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, I agree.
Just genius.
Well, I haven't had Paul on the show yet. I've had Pete Best and Julian. I've had Julian Lennon on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's got a new album coming out, so I'll be talking to him probably at the end of the year.
Wow. Blow him a kiss from me.
I'll mention you. I'll say you want to collaborate with him. You and Julian together. How about that? That'd be cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, he's a great musician too. He's a good songwriter on his own,
Yes,
you know.
yes,
He's put out
yes.
some good
I'll
stuff.
look out for his stuff. I want to hear his new record.
Yep, it's coming out soon. I want to say special thanks to Howard Wolfling of Howlin' Wolf Media for arranging this interview with Rebecca Pidgeon. Purchase a new release. Now, when's the official date on this?
The
September
official date is
24th.
September
right?
24th, yeah.
Right, got it. And it's on Toy Canteen Records.
Yep.
5 stars all the way. It's an incredible album. I love it. Everybody will enjoy it. Recommend it highly. You can go on your official website, www.rebeccapigeonmusic.com. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on Spotify. Is there anything that you can't do?
Yes. I can't make a souffle.
Oh, a souffle. Okay. Are you a good cook?
I like cooking, I must say.
You like
I do
cooking? How about your husband? Can he cook?
He can cook some really good burnt toast and boiled egg. He can make a boiled egg.
Okay. That's not bad. How's he doing, by the way?
Burnt popcorn.
Burnt popcorn. You gotta be careful with that popcorn. You gotta stop it before it ends, you know, maybe 10, 15 seconds before it ends. I learned that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's he doing, by the way?
That to him. He's doing great.
Yeah. Does he have anything coming out soon?
All sorts of things.
All sorts of things. Good. Brilliant guy. Yeah.
Thank you.
You make a good team.
Thank you. Thank you, Raymond.
Rebecca, thank you so much for being on the show today. The best of luck with the new album. It's incredible. I love it. You're so very talented in so many ways. And
you're so very nice.
We hope to talk to you again soon. And
Thanks,
we'll keep in touch.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to send that link to Janet's link. I'll send it to Howard.
Please do. Thank you.
Okay?
Great.
I sure
I
will.
look forward to it.
All right. Take care.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.